Hey everyone, from the 58th Legislative District, I'm State Representative Eric DeVanzo.
And from the 57th Legislative District, I'm State Rep Eric Nelson, and we are
E squared. That's right. Keep dialing it in every week.
Every week. But this is a big week. Halloween week.
Halloween week today. Listen, I don't need any chocolate, but I got my Snickers. I'm going to probably save it for the ride.
Yeah, but you have that every day of the week. You always got a Snickers.
You know, my wife's watching, and I told her I quit that stuff, so it's not.
So we have, what was going on? What's happening in the DeVanzo?
So we had our really first slow weekend in softball, which was nice. So Brielle and Rochelle got to go. I know it was a slow weekend. I don't know what it was, but it was a slower weekend. We only had one practice Saturday morning. So Saturday, the girls went. They do that stuff, Idlewild and do that stuff, and it was a nice peaceful day for me.
Well, we were New York bound. We went up to see Will, kid number 4. 7 hours up to New York for Parents Weekend. Got to see them play. They stomped the heck out of one of their rival schools,
cool.
So they're advancing in the playoffs. So it was good. Good to get back in Pennsylvania from New York, though. I was like joking out. There's no natural gas in the whole state.
Is there anything in New York anymore?
Oh, there's a lot of something, but I think that's for a different show, But we got a special guest with us today, senior member.
Senior member, oh my. It's so strange for me to go, I'm a senior member. I look around the room, I'm like, wow, it's strange that I'm the wise one in here.
Wait a minute, we didn't say you're the wise one.
We didn't say that.
Okay.
Now you're giving
Senior, okay.
So what's your committee? Tell us a little bit.
I am the Republican chairman of the Gaming Oversight Committee, which should be a really, really busy committee right now because we've got that skills game issue out in Pennsylvania. But we haven't met once because the Democrats set the agenda and they're just not apt to meet right now. So it's tough being in the minority. It really
without
is.
a lot happening in Harrisburg, what's happening in the personal life of Representative Chairman Diamond?
Well, I'll tell you what, back home in Lebanon County in the 102nd District, my wife and we just celebrated a few days ago our 3rd anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And you know what, for some reason, I finished I have a bunch of building projects that I worked through over the last 8 years, but I'm done with them. So now I'm becoming more of a bit of a social butterfly. And tomorrow night, we're going to Reading to see Jim Croce's son perform all his father's hits. It's like a 50th anniversary of, I think, his death. So we're going to see him. So I'm getting into that kind of social agenda right now.
That's awesome. Jim Croce.
Yeah. So driving back on
Leroy Brown.
Yep. I'm listening to Pandora, and they were just talking about that on the way out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I had a van.
Down
by the river. But I had a van for a long time, and the radio didn't work. But the CD player did. And during the pandemic, during COVID, there was one Rebel record shop in Middletown that was open. And I said to my wife, we're going. They're open. We're going. And I bought this CD. I put it in the CD player. It never came out. I just sold the van like a month ago. I took the CD out and I put it in my new van. And it's still in there playing that, the best of Jim Croce. Yeah. So my wife, who's a bit younger than me and didn't grow up with Jim Croce, she now knows all the songs inside and out. So we're excited to go to this concert.
Well, in the world, Jim Croce is fantastic. It throws me back. My dad used to play guitar, and when we were little, he would play he had the Jim Croce guitar book.
Right,
and he would play all those songs. And that's one of my sub-channels on my Pandora.
Right on. Yeah.
So Russ, refresh our memory. You were the architect of the original emergency declaration, right? Whenever you pretty much told Governor Wolf to go.
Yeah, I introduced a resolution to terminate the disaster emergency 11 days into it. That was March 17th, 2020. Everybody called me kooky. Everybody called me crazy. But I foresaw that there was a potential that those judgment calls would be absolutely wrong, which we saw over the entire summer and into the fall of 2020. So I got out on that early, took a lot of cajoling, but finally we got our caucus to pass that. We sent it over to the Senate passed it. That had to go through a big Supreme Court fight as to whether, the governor could veto it or not. And, we had to go through that process in order to get those constitutional amendments on the ballot in 2021 And had I not started as early as I did, that process would have been delayed, and perhaps we wouldn't have got those constitutional amendments on when we did,
Correct.
and perhaps we would have been in a disaster emergency all the way until the end of Tom Wolf's term,
Correct.
which
Well,
would
it's
have been
something.
horrific.
Those constitutional amendments, I think the bureaucrats here in Harrisburg, it makes them nervous when
Oh,
the
yeah.
people get to decide. You know,
Oh,
because we were
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
few
yeah, they
states.
don't like- yeah.
We removed power from the governor. That's why the people need to be deciding those constitutional amendments, like
and-
voter ID.
Yeah, and
you know?
it's what I don't think a lot of people understand is Pennsylvania was the only state in the entire nation to actually reduce its governor's emergency powers as a result of COVID, and it's because 11 days into it, I started that process, and there was we had a lot of help along the way. It wasn't all me, you know what I mean? But it was a team effort. But I had to start that early in order to get it done when we did get it done.
Well, we're glad you did start, because I come right in the middle. I think I was sworn in April 15th or 16th, so I was right almost,
Right.
right in the middle of the COVID. Not in
Yeah.
the middle, but whenever it really heated up at the beginning, that's whenever I came.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was trial by fire.
Yo,
That was
tell me about it.
remember the mask on the floor?
Oh,
and
my
all
gosh.
this, and
It was
they're trying to shame.
I
like,
was
instead
just
of
thinking last
freedom.
night, it's like, I don't know that I'll ever see a year that was as horrible in all facets as 2020. It was a horrible year. We had COVID, we had the election mess, we had all those riots in the summer.
Black
it was
Lives,
just,
killing
it was
police
just
officers.
an incredibly horrible year, and I hope I never have to relive it.
Yeah, 2021 was a pretty bad year.
Well, that was bad
it
too,
was
but-
but at least I think it woke people up to be
Yeah.
cautious about government.
Yeah.
Too much government.
Yep.
And I think government kind of woke up to how they really liked having all that control.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
changed the dynamic here.
Absolutely.
And even to this day, this morning in state government, we're voting on bills where people are asking the government, hey, can I celebrate this? Can I celebrate? We shouldn't be asking government
No.
for that. We shouldn't be. If you want to celebrate it, celebrate it.
Go celebrate, yeah.
Don't care. We don't need the government to tell us what or
Yeah,
how
well,
to do
one
it.
thing we learned through COVID is, and I talked to a lot of people who are licensed by the state, and they got shut down. And I asked my salon owners, I said, are you sure you want the state to officially be part of licensing your fellow salon owners, or would you like to extract the state from that a little bit? I've not seen any movement to reverse that at all, but it really did give people, a lot of pause to think, well, do we really want government to have this kind of control over us?
Oh, yeah. And how about just this week? Big hearing, controversial, government control, trying to say that no new gas wells could be drilled
Right.
even within 5,000 feet of a structure, essentially using government to eliminate the ability to harness natural gas in the state
That
of
would actually
Pennsylvania.
made Pennsylvania 98% well-free, right?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Like I
It's
didn't realize
unbelievable.
Susquehanna County is the largest producer in the nation of natural gas, like even far beyond Texas, and it would become 97% non-usable.
That's
Like,
unbelievable.
they're coming after our jobs, and
yeah, they are.
They try to make it seem like it's for public good, but really, they're looking to chase out investment and opportunity. to
But
state.
I don't get it, because the solution, right, the green energy, it's not there yet.
No, it's not.
One day it will be. I mean, make
It
no
will be.
mistake, it
And
will
look,
be. But,
look, I'm the
but we're
first
not
guy who'll
nowhere
buy
near
an
that.
electric car when it's going to make sense financially for me to do it.
Correct.
And when it's going to make sense, to just plug it in at my home, and might take only like 20 minutes to charge up. But it's just not there yet. It's not there.
And even so, I get people back in the district want to know about solar panels, and I said, who is going to be responsible for the solar panels when they're done, when they're decommissioned? They're going to be hazardous material. You're going to get the EPA involved, the DEP. It's not like you're just going to go put them out on the corner of on your street and let your garbage man take
And we
them.
got
This is big money.
one of those four-letter words, China. Might be an extra letter. in
Five-letter
there.
word. It's missing a
But
letter.
it is a four-letter word. Like what we realize that China and all of their pollution and all of their things, we're passing bills to use government money that we're already in debt on to buy more things from China.
Yeah, overseas.
Cutting our own throats. That's what I wanted to touch on, because you did a great job last session week with your Made in America initiative. But then we had a guy from Cambria County add two very interesting words.
Yeah.
You know,
When available, and so like I asked him to stand for interrogation. Just explain that? Like, what are the processes you got to go? Is it 3-step, 2-step? Nobody would answer that question. And I think I even said on the floor, so if I go down to the local parts store and ask for this, and if they don't have it, I can start bringing them in from overseas. And it's we can say we support American jobs and American manufacturing. That's great, but we got to start acting. And if we don't start pushing, we're never going to get it. It's just that simple. It's time for us to enact, and we just can't keep sending all of our tax dollars overseas like that.
Yeah, we're borrowing money from China. The federal money gives it to us, and then we buy things from China.
Right back to them.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, we have another big government question for you, because you're a smoker. You know? I'm not a smoker, but I do believe that people should have the freedom to smoke or not smoke. My dad, big smoker. I still remember those cool menthols when we were kids. You'd almost lean in to be able to catch that. So touch on this.
Feel the burn.
There's going to be a push. They're coming to, and they're calling it like the Clean Air Act.
Right.
But really, it's going after targeting cigar shops. It's and they layer it in an even higher smoker tax, right? And this what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. So I am a smoker, but kids at home, don't ever start smoking. Look, let me tell you that. Just don't, okay? It's just not good for you. But here, look, there are people, adults, who choose to smoke and choose to use tobacco. We tax them so heavily already here in Pennsylvania. It's ridiculous. But, one of the things that Representative Frankel's trying to do, he's trying to make it so that, like, private clubs and cigar shops, you can't even smoke in those places. It's like, wait a minute. What is the level of government overreach that you're willing to stop at? Where if I'm running a private club and every member of my club smokes and they enjoy coming into my club and smoking. Look, I'm a smoker. I don't smoke indoors. I don't like that kind of atmosphere. But there are people who enjoy that.
Yeah, those cigar shops are cool.
Yeah.
And there are all kinds of people go in to use them, and it's jobs and
But
commerce.
no one's forcing anybody that doesn't smoke in a cigar shop. Same with your clubs. Like, if you don't want to go in it, you just don't go in it. It's just that simple, if you ask me.
Yeah. I saw in that bill, because a constituent had reached out, and I was looking at it, literally, Harrisburg would prescribe the percentage of different types of sales that cigar shops would have to sell. 9% of this type of product.
Wow.
And I mean, micromanagement from Harrisburg for a store.
It sounds like communism to me. I mean, when you have controlled markets and prescribed, it's, one of the other aspects of that, what they like to call a clean indoor update, is the impact it'll have on our casinos. Casinos, look, I'm the gaming oversight chairman, but I will fully admit, I was not in favor of bringing gaming to Pennsylvania back in 2004 when they did it. But now that it's here, guess what? That's 3% of our general fund revenue. 3% of our general fund revenue. So are you really going to impact that bad by forcing them to make choices that they're not ready to make? Look, some of the casinos in Pennsylvania, there's one casino in Bucks County, they don't have any smoking on that property at all. They enjoy that. People enjoy going there because it's smoke-free. But other casinos have different policies, and they have to be able to cater to the residents and the players who are coming to play, especially when you're talking about somebody who is on the border of another state like West Virginia, where you have, they're going to be allowed smoking in one state, not smoking in the other, and you're going to impact that market. And with 3% of our general fund revenue coming from those casinos, that's a huge ask to try to do another big government mandate that may impact their dollar value to not just the business itself, but to the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And I've been in those casinos. We got the Rivers,
really?
we got the Meadows,
You've been in a casino or two?
Really? You?
Rochelle's got a problem. Yeah, I got to go get her out of it. But when you walk in, you don't smell the smoke,
Right?
Unless you go to that smoking section. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, let the casinos alone. Let them figure it out. If they want to go non-smoking, let them go. But similar to what you said, you got the Meadows, who really isn't that far from Wheeling, have fire. And if I live somewhere in the middle or even close by, if I wanted to smoke, I'm going to go to Wheeling. So.
Right.
And this crazy thing called individual liberty and freedom.
Yeah.
People, even though smoking is a bad health choice, it's still a choice of an individual.
So is eating too many chips. And so is sitting on the couch all day.
Yes.
But you don't want to. We're not forcing people out of those behaviors. It's personal responsibility.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think we covered a lot of issues here on
I think so,
Halloween.
too,
We got to
yeah.
be jetting so we can go door to door, fill up those.
Did we even
sacks
talk
full
about
of candies.
non-preferreds? I thought we wanted to talk about non-preferreds.
Oh yeah, the elephant in the room, huh? Big stuff. I don't necessarily agree. I did vote against that. I think it's some of the darkest, shadiest money. There's some strange stuff happening with those dollars.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is the money that we give to the state-related universities, Penn State, Pitt,
Temple.
Temple. Yeah, Lincoln was approved.
Lincoln
right?
we already
Lincoln was
approved,
approved,
but I was at this point. I'm actually at this point now. I'm fed up with them. I'm fed up with them all. Just the way they are impacting our society. Whether it's confusing the difference between a man and a woman, or telling people that America is bad, or with some universities around the country now, they got pro-Hamas out there, the limits on freedom of speech. I'm just done. The hardworking truck drivers, the hardworking people in my district, the guys, the farmers who are out tilling the soil, they don't want that crap. They don't want kids being indoctrinated like that. They want an education system that provides what the Commonwealth needs, which is people who can actually function in life. And so they're fed up with funding these big universities.
Yeah. And for decades we've been doing it.
Yeah.
And we see the result. They're 3 of the top 10 most expensive in-state tuitions in the nation, and we give them $650 million with no strings attached. It is like, if we use that same money, and we'll have to put up the graphic, it's a very friendly graphic, that shows happy people, but imagine a family or a young person getting $9,500 annual grant.
Oh my gosh.
To choose where they want to go
Exactly.
to school.
You can go to a trade school, though.
You could go to a trade school.
Triangle Tech back, it doesn't matter where you
Or a state-owned university.
Correct. You go anywhere you want
much
to.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Or a private college like Lebanon Valley College that is in my district. They just started a nursing school. It's a great little college, and they've got 95% rated highest in the nation for a couple of years running on job placement and people with jobs and that sort of thing.
And that's
Look,
without raising taxes. Families up to $250,000 a year earning would get an $8,000 grant. It's actually, and that's where the numbers get so screwy, because if we gave every learner, and that would include like adults that maybe wanted to go back and finish their degree, that's $9,500 or $8,000 for everyone.
Yeah.
But when you look at the schools, they're not getting that much when they get their money. And last year, Pitt made $310 million profit for a nonprofit. 400, almost $500 million the year before.
That's the other aspect of this that really upsets me. Once upon a time, institutions of higher learning were very humble organizations that just wanted to educate people and prepare them to go out and be successful in life. It's gone far afield of that original intent, where these are big money-making for-profit institutions, whether they're considered nonprofit or not. They're making money hand over fist, and guess what? They're charging our kids an arm and a leg to go there, and look at the side effects of all the stuff, the woke stuff that's going on. It's just, I'm done. I'm done funding them.
So the fight's
That's
over
it.
now, right?
But we've had a
They
couple
got their
conversations
votes.
back home, and some of the conversations was, hey, why are you messing with our money? Before they was even appropriated to them or even discussed go, and they already got it earmarked as though it's theirs, and it's an attack on them. And
well, you tell them I got a truck driver and a farmer back in the 102nd district that money actually belongs to.
it's their money.
Yeah.
That's
You know.
exactly right.
But there were some positives. I mean, it wasn't
Right.
my resolution, but I think we held together as a caucus. They passed an amendment today, tuition freeze.
Tuition freeze, yep.
Next year,
Next year,
which
yep,
is
yep.
positive.
And we got the transparency, we got the clunk bill, but do we trust that Governor
Right.
Shapiro's going to sign it? What's he going to do? He got us once.
Yeah,
Is he
we
gonna do
don't
it
know.
again?
But the other thing that was good out of that is that we preserved, the 2/3 majority that's
Correct.
required to
There's some
pass
value
those
there.
bill,
There's
and
definitely
that
value
gives us another bit of leverage next year when it comes budget time.
Yeah, that little thing called the Constitution.
Yeah,
that they've been
that
wanting to,
matters sometimes. Yeah.
yeah.
No, it matters all the time.
So I think we're gaining ground. People
Yep.
are realizing
Yep.
that even students, I mean, and you know, Pitt, Penn State, Temple, they're great schools. I had 2 kids going there. It's not, but also those kids attending those schools, if we were giving them $9,000
Yeah.
or $8,000, and then they give it to the school, that gets government out of the mix. Like,
Right.
It should not all be happening under the table, you know. And
So what does a student get if they go to the community college back home?
they get $1,200.
Wow.
The community college gets for that student. Our independents, like our St. Vincent's, our Seton Hills, the independent schools, they get $300 a student.
Wow.
So you have a Pitt student getting $9,900, and then you have a Duquesne student, just an Uber drive away,
Yeah.
getting $300.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and Duquesne's a great school.
Oh, yeah,
too,
absolutely.
You know?
But is Pitt 33 times greater? Because that's what the math works out to be.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
It really does raise, it lays a lot of questions. But I think we're getting it out there.
Right.
You know, legislation is a slow process, and we're
Sometimes too slow.
Hey, but listen, I mean, since the time I've came, we've had this fight, incremental changes.
Yep.
Every year we've gotten a bite of the apple. And I think one year we'll get it to a place that where we like it, and we can settle with it, and everybody
Yeah.
can go on their way.
It's funny, you wouldn't think you'd have to fight so hard to get government out of exclusive funding. You know, the idea, hey, just give the money to the people,
Yeah.
to the learners. You know?
Well, like we said at the beginning, you know, bureaucrats don't like when the people make up their minds because the people don't always agree with the bureaucrats, you know? So
Bureaucrats gets left out.
Yep,
That's right.
yep. Well, we might just have to hear one last time as we're wrapping things up, the Down by the River, the
Well,
Russ Diamond Down by the
That's
River.
right, that's
was,
right. So I had a family in my district during COVID, and their house burned down 5 days after the COVID disaster emergency started, and they literally were living in a camper down by the river. And I repeated, you know, I kept updating the members on the House floor all during the COVID shutdown. And the good news is that they were able to rebuild their house. Kevin, the father, he's back at work. You know, he's an independent contractor for concrete, and they're doing fine. They're 5 kids, but yeah, that was kind of the saga that I dragged everybody in the house through, was updating them on my family, my constituents who were living in a camper down by the river. So it's kind of legendary now, but, and you know, some people made light of it, but it was a serious situation because this guy was a concrete guy. He couldn't work. The insurance was tying him up on the, you know, to pay him to make the payments so that he could actually rebuild his house. They were just stuck there all summer long, probably well into the fall, and even close to winter in the camper down by the river. You know, but
Yeah.
Sounds like a song.
It's a Jim Croce song. We'll see you, everyone.
All right, we'll
Bye-bye.
see you guys. Thanks, Russ.
you bet.